good evening, everyone. And Viren sir, your talk was really inspiring and interesting. Thank you for that. Uh, okay, my question to you is, you showed us a slide on how you created smaller structures, people get together, work, and then again go back to different projects. So how do we do this in a legacy organization? So in an organization where we have people from older mindset and new age millennials as well. So so half of the people are willing to get into groups, whereas the older mindset people are not. So in such a culture and such an organization, how do we make that happen? Any thoughts on that?
First is, the culture is driven right from the top. If your CEO doesn't believe in it, it's not going to happen. So only if the CEO believes in it, it will happen. Still, it's not easy because there are entrenched people, entrenched politics, entrenched everything. Nobody wants to let go of their people. So it's extremely difficult to break these barriers, but you have to set examples. You may have to do public hanging a couple of times to make sure the person resisting is out of the company, doesn't come next day onwards. So the message goes down. That's the way it is. We have IJP, internal job profile. So if you're working on some exciting project, you just advertise to the whole company, I'm working on this cool stuff on blockchain or chatbots. People who want to join in, please. And the policy is within 3 months, they have to join. No manager can hold a person if a person has shown interest and the recipient project is willing to take them. So that's a process we have done. So with this process on, if somebody is interested in working on something cool, they come in, then nobody can stop them. Max time they can hold on is 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hi. My question would be to Vijay. Vijay, you mentioned a lot of people, you mentioned a lot of people from Steve Jobs to Jeff Bezos and everyone else, and they've been creating big organizations. So how do you, as an individual, ensure that you maintain the culture of the organization? Like, how do you bring that fire in the people to say that, thank God it's Monday, like you said?
Thank God it's fine.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Actually, now that there's some 15 people from Belong over here, I think first I'll ask them to go out. Can all of you please start heading out? Anyway, I actually don't think about it that way, by the way. I don't think about the fact that they should come super excited on Monday. Like, honestly, so at Belong, 95% of the org has stocks. So we are a 120 people company. We're not that small, the ideal smallness that I would want us to be. So we're 120 people, and like 95% of them have stocks. So I think there's one, obviously, an emotional connect to the company, which we're sort of able to build. Two, I think, one of the things in the sense of purpose and mission thing that we did, we started like from day 5. I mean, I think employee number 5, Rishabh, my co-founder, is there. And we basically have a vision document, which the founders walk every new employee through. So all the 160 people who would have ever come into our organization sort of get walked through that vision document. And we have a certain set of values that we basically live against, hold ourselves accountable to. So in a town hall, when basically one of the 120 person holds me accountable for me not living the values, those are the best days of my life while building Belong. And when publicly my team is aware of the fact that that's what basically makes me happy, you just see a very different kind of an organization. And I actually get happy when on Saturday, Sundays they land up when I haven't landed up on a Saturday, Sunday, and they're sitting there, right? So Mondays, like
Monday or any
right?
other day.
I mean, sorry, maybe we're at a startup, but Monday to yaar. But there are dogs, that's a secret. I mean, there are dogs inside the company, they're allowed, pets are allowed. So that helps. No, I'm just kidding. Saturday, Sundays are where I get to know whether people are really passionately, like really running hard towards the goal.
I wanted to know for Ramco, you had mentioned that when employees join, they get segregated into 3 groups, and that's how you decided laggards out. And what was the process? How did you go about that?
So we hired an external agency for the sake of transparency and neutrality. And they spent 1 hour interviewing each one of them, audio recorded. They're still available, the audio recordings. After 4 years, they've done it. And based on that, they did an assessment to tell us where they think these people fit in. And these people are technologists, very well known and they would be using technologists to talk to technology people and marketing people and so on and so forth. And using that assessment and using our collective judgment, we figured out that these people are willing to change the world. These people are happy to run the way it is. The other people are not willing to change. As somebody mentioned, the legacy people not willing to change. And we wasted no time in letting go the people who were not willing to change. Because either you are on board or you're not on board. You can't be sitting, you can't be on the edge.
My question is to Mr. Agarwal.
I have a question for Mr. Jonathan. You hear a technology company, a startup, and multinational banks, whereas your bank is today limited to Sri Lanka. How do you compare yourself today to the industry overall?
This is back in Sri Lanka or?
Yeah, so from where you are,
Yes.
so I'm sure there will be multinational banks there.
Yes.
And as well as some of the best leading practices across.
So basically I have worked 20 years in an international bank. I'm from HSBC before I joined HNB. We have a role to play in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is expanding. There are limited resources there. So as a systemically important bank, we need to align ourselves to the government, align ourselves to the people's requirement, be it at an infrastructure level, corporate, SME, or at the grassroots level. We do what we need to do. We don't wait for money lenders and the loan sharks to be going in and exploiting our microfinance entrepreneurs. We provide that opportunity for them to be made inclusive in the society. But in terms of, we do have regional aspirations. We have looked outside. We understand that just looking at, I said at the beginning, Vision 2020 is a sustainable model. So it looks beyond banking. It also looks to new cash flows in addition to protecting existing cash flows, which are under threat by through fintechs and through, let's say, other digital players in the market. Whilst recognizing the threat, we do collaborate with them where it requires. We even go to the extent of promoting fintechs. For example, we are running a fintech promo in the next couple of months, and we are hoping that we would get at least 100 on board, and at least 10 of them will come with, first-class solutions, which part of it then they could joint venture with us and then launch them so that we get into something like a revenue share model. So it's about recognizing where the market is going. So when I mentioned that one of the cogs was, let's say, digitalization, I mentioned the middle part was about automation and the back end was about, your cloud and your data layers and stuff like that. But the front layer is about product development channels. It's about networking with the fintechs, the telcos, the supermarkets, as well as creating that enabling ecosystem for the SMEs and the likes to actually e-trade as well as use our IPGs, etc. We see a great opportunity for us to play a role.
Yeah, I had another question, and that was, what made you set up Belong? What did you see as a gap, and where do you see your competition?
So I get asked that question internally in town halls as well, and I tell them the same thing. When you want to build an institution that outlives you, what is competition? Right? So we are set out to sort of help people belong at their workplace. Our true thought process is that actually what set us out to start Belong was that there were 4 founders who basically had a combined work experience of 5 years, right? And I had majority of that. We basically used to help people find jobs when we used to just connect to random people we would meet. We never got 10% CTC, etc. on top of it. But every time, we would basically end up getting an email or an SMS or a call saying thank you from one of those 200 people who sort of either hired or sort of joined someone. Raat ko neend achhi aati thi. So honestly, we are running after that one good night's sleep every day. We get up every day we're just like super excited about the fact that if every human being can be at the right place where they can cause impact in the world will move forward progressively. And that's what motivates us every day.